So we've been talking about the law of attraction the last couple of weeks. What is it? How does it work? How do we best use it and use it to our advantage? Making sure that we're attracting, creating the outcomes that we want versus the outcomes that we don't want. So back to our formula here, because this is our mathematical representation of how the law of attraction is working. I think it's a great way to think about it. It makes it simple. It demystifies it. And you can see over here, so R is our reality or our law of attraction. We've got our 3 steps: our ask, our request to the universe, to God, to ourselves for the outcomes that we want. Step 2, believe, really going into the software. Who do I have to be? What are the beliefs I have to run in order to be in alignment with my request? And then step 3, receive, or as we like to call it, taking inspired action. Now, first starting with the request or the ask on a positive or negative, it's always one or the other. The universe does not care if it's positive or negative. It's just going to hear what you're asking for. It does not hear the word not. So in our don't spill the milk tool, when you're thinking about not spilling milk, all you're going to think about is ways to spill and then avoid doing that. So it's actually more of a request to spill milk versus pour carefully, right? So first big step is setting the intention, making sure our requests are in a towards pattern. We're asking for what we want versus what we don't want. And then, as I said in the email to you, the really vital component to this is this second part: emotional intensity meter, our EQ, our emotional quotient. How our emotions become in alignment or not alignment with our request. So if you're asking for money but you're feeling scarcity, well, now that goes against the request. Or if you're asking for love but you're feeling, I don't know, hatred or apathy or disconnected, that's an unask for love. And then our third step, the amount of time that we spend in this emotional intensity, spend in this request throughout a day. So another reminder to use the formula throughout your day. You can track, how much time do you spend in these emotions, in these requests. And today I really want to focus on this emotional component here. So first things first, you may have heard in other settings, in traditional psychology, this is a common notion that emotions are neither right or wrong, they just are. And that emotions are not very much in our control. They just happen. They're indicators, they provide value to us. And we're just supposed to navigate how we respond to the world and how our emotions get triggered, and not labeling them as good or bad. My pen's being a little goofy here. Not labeling them as good or bad, but just acknowledging them. This is one of the things that we agree with here at the Inevitable You, that to not place a judgment or place a label on the emotion as good or bad, and seeing things as they are, not better or worse. But we don't teach it as they just are, and that emotions are not in our control. Emotions, as we like to call it, are software. They're software patterns. So you have a thought, and a thought is catalyzed and intensified by the emotion, it's the lighter fluid. It's the juice, right? So change a thought, change an emotion, or another way to think about it is, we're constantly responding to data. We're taking in things all the time. The world's happening. We're taking actions, and we create a meaning. We assign a meaning to the data. And based on that meaning, we then assign a feeling, an emotion. So if you can take the same data and change the meanings, change the equations, the software programs, the operating system that is creating the meaning, you can then change the feeling. So emotions are very much in our control. We can manage them more effectively. We can direct them. We can consciously activate our emotional intensity. And again, it's not to say that you shouldn't feel anger or you shouldn't feel sad. And that's placing a judgment on it. But if you want to feel happier, if you want to feel more excited, if you want to tip the scales in your favor, back to our formula, and enhance the results that you're going to produce using the law of attraction, when we consciously direct and change the emotional intensity that we're putting into this, you're going to create entirely different results. So I want you to think about, what have you been taught about emotions? What were you trained to think? That they're just totally out of our control, that, they just are, and we just have to learn how to deal with it, learn how to cope, maybe go to anger management, versus, do you have more control than you once thought? What do you believe as it relates to this and your abilities to control and direct your emotions? So, our emotional intensity meter, again, this is a great NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, one of the main toolboxes here at the Inevitable You. It's a great tool of calibrating where we fall on the scale of 1 to 10. 0 being nothing, 10 being, you've maxed out, it can't get any more intense. And this is for both sides, positive and negative. And when you intensify, this is what we call associating, right? You're associating to that emotion. When it's a 0, you're diminishing, you're dissociating. So you can just think of this as a little mythical box, sitting in front of you, measuring your emotional intensity. It's a great way to just, when you're doing your daily or near daily journaling, when you're checking in with yourself, you maybe want to use we have a great tool called the timeline tool. That's a graph that allows you to plot throughout the course of a day. Where are you? What's your emotional intensity? Are you at a -8? Are you at a +2? Are you at a +8? Where? And then you can see, it gets a great visual representation where on this scale between positive and negative do you spend the most time throughout a day. So first things first, being able to calibrate where you currently are, and then make decisions from there. Oh wow, I see I spend way more time than I thought on the negative side of things, on the half empty, more stress, anxiety side of things, and I want to feel more at ease. I want to feel more peaceful, more confident. I see I spend a lot of time on sadness. I want to feel more happy throughout my day. How would I go about doing that? That's when we introduce all of the great software tools that we cover here, as far as changing the meanings, changing our response to the data that the world is presenting us. So with associating and dissociating, one awesome tool that we've done before, and I'm not going to do it tonight because it's a longer tool, and You can do it on your own. I highly recommend it if you haven't done it. You can actually find it at the member site. Just look up associate, dissociate. I think it's in the new U section under new tools, but you can search for it. It'll pop right up in your search results. It follows the formula very closely because it's a very real experiential way to apply the formula, seeing how you can really actually consciously direct and change your emotions. And basically, the tool is you take a medium, on a scale of 1 to 10, a medium intensity memory of a conflict. A conflict that you had with someone recently, about a 6 to 7 out of 10. And you're gonna, it's a visualization exercise. You close your eyes, you put yourself back there, you see them just as they were, see them, just as intensely as they were. You go back right into the conflict. What was their facial expressions? What were they, saying to you? And what was their body language like? How were you responding? Was it yelling, or maybe one was silent, the other was yelling? So you're going back, putting yourself back in that memory just as it was. And the first step that we do is we take it and we put it on a big IMAX screen. And just like those big, THX stereo sound that comes on in the IMAX theater, you're hearing the sound increase, intensify. You're looking at this big screen. You're intensifying it, associating more to the emotion that you had in that memory. And then you recalibrate on a scale of 1 to 10. Did your number go up or down? 75% of the time when I do this in an audience setting, people say it goes up. Occasionally we'll have someone that it actually goes down. So it can actually work in reverse. But that's the first step, and then we do it in the flip side. So close your eyes again, and we're actually going to put it on a small screen. And my pen does not want to cooperate. Small screen. We're going to animate it, or put cartoon elements to it. So you pick your favorite cartoon, whether it's Bugs Bunny. You put the Bugs Bunny ears on the person you're arguing with. Put his little, what's up, Doc? His goofy little voice. And you're making it more of a comedic representation. And take this little screen, one of those small little television screens, you bring it outside, across the street, put it on the neighbor's yard, go back in the house, look through the window, watch the argument from inside your house, and then recalibrate. Now for most, it's generally more than the IMAX screen visualization, which is interesting, but most will say that it goes down at least, considerably, down to a 2 or 3. So that's one example. If you want to experience other tools like this, strict NLP, because this actually comes out of one of the original NLP books, and I believe it's NLP, the New Technology of Achievement, I believe it's called, by Grindler and Bandler, I believe are their names. Some of the first authors of the NLP technology. You can also get, what's it called? NLP for Dummies is actually a good resource that has a lot of these original exercises. There's more than just this movie or screen experience that you can use to experience the power of association and dissociation. So again, the question, if you actually do these exercises and not just think about it, follow the instructions, do it correctly, what do you now know about your abilities to control emotions? You're going to surprise yourself if you really do this. One of the great examples that I have of this kind of technology and tools is from the a Tony Robbins seminar. I think I've talked about it before in these calls, but his 4-day Unleash the Power Within, first night or maybe second night, you're doing a fire walk, so that's already, people are jazzed up. He's going for 12, 14-hour days. They're putting loud music on. He's cueing everyone every 15 minutes. Get up, jump around, high five your neighbor. And it's a great way to just see how much you can actually get yourself excited by just putting some awesome music on, by jumping around, by celebrating. So he's huge into physiology, our greatest tool. So do you get up, jump around to get yourself excited? Are you still sitting in your chair, visualizing getting excited? Are you actually gauging your body, your nervous system? So, highly recommend it. Find the tool on the website, and if you can't, or if you're having trouble, just let me know. I'll send you a link, and pick up those books, or you could probably even YouTube it. I'm sure you'll find something on this. It's a really fun exercise. Next tool, one that we talk about ad nauseum, one of our favorites, the I Have a Dream speech. So when we're talking about Windows 2030, how do I be the greatest version of me? How do I believe in that and get those goosebumps, which is the number one rule to the I Have a Dream speech? It's gotta engage some emotions. It's gotta give you goosebumps. It's gotta make the hair on your neck and your arms stand up. Because then it's actually creating something for you. It's engaging a different emotional matrix. And so, this follows the SMART goals tool that says, we put it to get in that top 10% of achievers. You put your goals in a SMART format: specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-based. And in order to get to the top 1 to 3%, and not only is it in a SMART format, it's set as an outcome having already happened, and you write it as an I Have a Dream speech, just like Martin Luther King's I have a dream one day the sons of former slaves and sons of former slave owners will break bread at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. Just like that iconic speech that day, you create your own I Have a Dream. Could be for your health, could be for your business, your leadership, your love. And imagine having that kind of emotional connection to one of your own outcomes. And so the question we always love to ask is, pretty awesome tool. When you hear, oh yeah, I've never really thought about that. I love that. Have you ever used it? Well, most people, everyone should have their hands raised, because you may not have done it as an I Have a Dream, but a lot of people do it as the opposite. I have a nightmare. I have a nightmare. Oh my God. I can't do this. What if I fail? What if it doesn't work out? Or, I can't do this. This is so hard. I can't wake up in the morning early to go to the gym, and my diet, it's so hard to do, and I just want something sweet. And so we run these I have a nightmare habitual sentences. And so when we look at this and we hear a common, it sounds good, I don't know if I can really control my emotions, and I'm not that kind of person. I can't just get jazzed up. I can't put those emotions in my body? I don't know how to do that. Oh, yeah, you do. Everyone does. It's just that most do it on the opposite side. They put anxiety and stress and anger and all these other emotions in their body unconsciously because it's learned. It's a habit. It's programmed. It's back to software. It's a program. You learned it somewhere. You learned it as a strategy. So if stress was a strategy to avoid something undesirable, there's value to it. And so we look at this, we look at how and why the current software is the way that it is, and we have tools to modify it to stop the old pattern, interrupt the old pattern, and create a new habit. Run and I have a dream, speech instead of an I have a nightmare, or even worse, the I have above averageness, which is a far more sinister and challenging software to be in than the I have a nightmare, because at least I have a nightmares can sometimes produce some results. You're afraid of getting sick, well, you'll be more motivated to do healthy things, run more or eat better. You're afraid to go bankrupt. Yeah, you'll create money, but it's not framed as a towards pattern. When do you ever get to feel wealthy in that kind of pattern? So back to I have above averageness, good being the enemy of great, because you settle, and it's comfort, and it's safety, and good is good, right? Why do I have to be great? Isn't good enough? And it's never a judgment. It's consciousness to know that if you want change, back to what we're talking about tonight, if you want conscious activation of your emotions, increase your EQ, your emotional quotient, your ability to not only change and direct your own emotions, but do this for other people and be an EQ heart-centered, leader. And how would I do that? How can I inspire others to be more than they are? Yeah, it's a decision. It starts with a decision to be great and not be, stuck or plateaued in these above average places. Because in above average, there's not much incentive to, if things are already good and you're trucking along, you're moving, you're coasting. That's a far worse enemy to these greatness places that we're talking about, because it's comfort, it's good, it's safe. So it's a decision to be more than you are today and want more and create more, and acknowledging emotions as not good or bad, as software. And if you want more passion, if you want more excitement, you want more happiness, it starts with these tools. It starts with this awareness and knowing that you can consciously change this as you wish.